Who would have thought that in the new world quest Cavarena of Good and Evil, we would get information about the previous Hydro Archon? It is really surprising indeed, especially it is about the remaining power of the god, the Archon. This information then reminds me about the idea that states the current Hydro Archon is the one who killed the previous Hydro Archon. I believe most of you already heard this idea or speculation before, because this is already popular. The idea about Archon killing other Archons to overthrow something is so refreshing to think about, especially if it would become one of the main focus in Archon Quest itself. But is this idea or speculation true, or to be exact, is it really plausible? Are there any alternative ideas about the previous and current Hydro Archon? Well, first thing first, we need to understand how this speculation comes to the surface. The idea was first raised during the Wishful Drops Limited event, the event where we will have this little flying companion named Endora. In that event, there was an incident where Rodea, or we all known as Oceanid, turned the water bitter, nearly killing the younger Oceanid and threatening to ruin Mondstadt water supply. The reason is because Rodea thought that Endora was an assassin from Fontaine. Now, because of this word assassin, many speculate if the current Hydro Archon had a plan to kill all the Lodge folk who disagree with her ideal, in this case, Rodea. But why is that? Why does the current Hydro Archon do that? To answer that, the speculation starts to grow by seeking other sources. They are Farunada Gemstone and Teyvat chapter travel trailer. In Farunada, we learn that the current Hydro Archon seems to praise herself too much, and with the Travail trailer chapter, named for Fontaine, Masquerade of the Guilty, many of us at that time immediately connect the dots, and conclude the reason why the current Hydro Archon do the assassin is to hide her dark secret, which is killing the previous Hydro Archon because of envy. The one who knows this dark secret is Lodge folk, including Rodea, because they are known to have served previous Hydro Archon as a spy. Then that is why she is seeking Lodge folk. Well, at that time, this whole speculation seems to be promising, but there is still a question as to why the current Hydro Archon killed the previous one. The answer, because of envy, is not satisfying enough. Many pages have already passed, and finally, at the end of Sumeru Archon Quest Act 3, Nahida shared to us a glimpse about the current Hydro Archon. Her name is Fossalors, and her unique personality. In the Lesser Key of Solomon, Ars Gotia, it is said that Fossalors' hope was to return to the heavens after 1,000 years, but was deceived. If we put it into Genshin context, then we get the idea that since Fossalors looks herself noble, then she potentially has some kind of obsession with the heavens or Celestia. That explains her unique personality, lives for the pure chaos in the courtroom and judge other gods. At the same time, from that connection, it's speculated that she won more attention from Celestia, a recognition to be exact. But unfortunately, the previous Hydro Archon got the attention instead. Being envious of that, Fossalors then decide to kill the previous Hydro Archon and take advantage of the Cataclysm incident. In the end, she succeeded and became the current Hydro Archon. As you can see, after Sumeru Archon Quest Act 3, the speculation becomes more plausible, until version 3.6 comes to play. With the new World Quest Cavarena of Good and Evil and new artifact set Vauru Kasha Glow, the idea of Fossalors killing the previous Hydro Archon starts to decline. In this version 3.6, it explained that the previous Hydro Archon was killed at Tunigi Hollow while fighting against the Abyss, and corruption spewing into Teyvat. Her remaining power then becomes the Amitra Pool. To put it more context, from what we have learned so far, during the Cataclysm, there are so many Abyss Rifts open all over Teyvat. One of them just so happens to appear in the desert region Sumeru, where we can assume to be close with Fontaine. And ever since Celestia summoned the Archons, it seems that during her way to Canuria, previous Hydro Archon came across the Abyss Rift in the desert Sumeru, and tried to stop the Abyss power from leaking. So yeah, from that, the speculation about Fossalors before seems not really plausible. Fossalors did not kill the previous Hydro Archon. Then is there any alternative beside that? Or is there anything we can learn from this whole speculation? Actually there are, and here's my 3 points. Point number 1, the assassination. I think a lot of us misunderstood or took the wrong way about this assassin thing. From what I found so far, there is no evidence that supports this assassination comes from the current Hydro Archon's command. Instead, in Wishful Drop event, it only mentioned that Rodea thought if Endora was an assassin from Fontaine. There is no single line that tells us who these assassins are, what are their goals, and who sent them. Yeah, I know you could say that since Lodge folk do not acknowledge Fossalors as the new Archon, Fossalors might then decide to hunt them. But I don't think that Fossalors want to do that. I personally lean more towards the idea that Harbinger or some organization in Fontaine could be the one who sent the assassin. Perhaps Lodge folk like Rodea has something that makes them pick interest. It could be that Lodge folk contain some kind of special material that is worth experimenting with. Point number 2, Masquerade of the Guilty. While the speculation we have talked about seems not plausible, the concept of guilty still exists. From what I understand, the title for each nation symbolizes what potentially happened in that region, and specifically inner conflict within the Archon itself. If Fossalors indeed has some kind of guilt to hide, I most likely suggest that it could be related to the current situation in Fontaine or to the death of the previous Hydro Archon, or maybe both. So it can be considered as guilty for the Fossalors while she herself declares that her people bear no sins in the eyes of the gods. What a tragedy. On the other hand, the death of the previous Hydro Archon might be the reason why she became the way she is today. Seems to look prideful on the outside, while the inside she has conflict to deal with. I don't think Fossalor has double personality though. I am more toward the idea that she has a problem controlling her emotion and thought. The reason? It is either because she sees the value of her predecessor ideal, or she is involved in the death of previous Hydro Archon unintentionally. So she blames everything on herself. And point number 3, self-sacrifice theme and original Archon plan. Do you realize that until this time, there are so many stories and lore talking about self-sacrifice, especially the deities, like the famous one, Rukkhadevata. If this theme is really embedded in Genshin narrative and still continues on, then it is highly possible to say that the previous Hydro Archon did the same. What I'm trying to say is, the previous Hydro Archon might have done something similar to Rukkhadevata. From what we have learned from Lodge folk, in the past, the previous Hydro Archon tasked Lodge folk to spread far and wide to any water sources all over the continent, as a way to connect everyone like how water is connected, while also making Lodge folk as spies. Don't you think this particular action is trying to imitate the way Immune Tree works? Think about it. Immune Tree covers all over Teyvat, and by spreading its branches and roots, Immune Tree gathers all the information. Previous Hydro Archon, on the other hand, talks Lodge folk as if she is trying to cover all over Teyvat by using the power of flowing water, while also gathering information from Lodge folk. You see, it seems like there is connection there. It is also worth mentioning that the deities who did self-sacrifice or even nearly death tend to have a backup. For example, Rukkhadevata leaving Kusanali, Goddess of Flowers leaving Kavarena, etc. etc. Then if that is the case, what if the previous Hydro Archon does the same? Since Lodge folk really has close relation to previous Hydro Archon, and ever said that water can take any shape, it is possible that the previous Hydro Archon self-replicate herself before the Cataclysm as a backup. And this backup is Fossalors. Fossalors was born from that. Instead of having a similar trait from her, Fossalors has the opposite side. The reason why I said this is because in the Wishful Drop event, there appear to be two types of Lodge folk. vase that make water bitter, and vase that make water sweet. If the previous hydroalcohol is the sweet, since he wants to spread love through water, then Phosalors is the one who makes water bitter. That could explain why Phosalors acts like the opposite from the previous one, which makes Longsfork not acknowledge her. Overall, this speculation suggests that at the very beginning, hydroalcohol itself already has two sides or person. The sweet is the previous, and the bitter is the current Phosalors, where the cataclysm is the pinpoint when this happened. Okay, I think that's it for my 3 points. And to end this video, I wanna share some interesting info. Based on the description of Oceanid boss, it is said that Oceanids were once sea creatures from a home far away, who carried the fragments of a long-dead god to the many corners of this world. Perhaps they did this so that the love their god held for this world could be spread through the waters to all the land. I wonder who this long-dead god could be. Perhaps this fragment of long-dead god is the fragment of the previous hydroalcohol that Oceanid found in Amrita Pool. What do you think? Do you have the same idea as me, or do you have another theory? Let me know your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to share this video. Hello Zen here, and thank you for watching.